So what is Volodymyr Zelensky exploring again? Let's take a look at his speech on the anniversary of the start of the war in Ukraine, the full-scale Russian invasion, whose goal is to build a Russian empire, and it's always been that way, but so far it hasn't succeeded. Well, let's see what Volodymyr Zelensky, the unwanted and accidental hero of the whole war, has to say about it.
We will have the opportunity to create something significant and meaningful.
We care about achieving a reliable and lasting peace.
chose this war.
We did not choose this war, we did not start or provoke this war, and we are doing everything we can to stop it. This is not the first time in our history that Moscow has brought cruel and ruthless anti-European projects to Europe. There are many dictatorships in the world.
Own borders.
Some close themselves off within their own borders and try to block any external influence that brings freedom. Others, on the contrary, do not recognize any borders and actively try to destroy the freedom of their neighbors, entire regions, and sometimes even the whole world.
We face the second type of
When it comes to Russia, it's the second case.
unstable dictatorship that
It's the mentality of a stable dictatorship that doesn't understand and doesn't want to accept that in Europe every life matters, that human rights matter, and that states have the right to protection, whether they are big or small.
thing that
That's right. Russia is a symbol of the past. Europe is a symbol of civilization. And the future, let's say with America, we'll see how it turns out there. In any case, Russia is simply stuck in the 19th century. And even though for years they tried to act like they were different, better, they have once again proven that they are exactly the same as they have always been. Like they were in 68, like they were in the 19th century, like they were in 1920, always the same.
Putin can't accept one simple thing, that somewhere else people can live differently and in a different way than he would prefer. That's exactly why he keeps trying to break someone, not just now, not just in the last 4 years, but throughout his entire time in power.
itself.
He is war,
Anyone who supports Putin cannot fail to understand that
and anyone who supports Putin must understand that by doing so they are choosing war. That was true in 1999 and it's true today.
they tend to be different.
Putin doesn't even try to pretend that he's any different. Putin's Russia began thanks to the Chechen War. Then he moved on to Georgia, and since then, Russia has absolutely not respected the independence of its neighbors, except for China and North Korea, because
those are strong and maybe even allies. But it's good to say here that the rise of Russian power in Georgia, in Chechnya, in Moldova, in Estonia, here as well, of course, and in Ukraine, the occupation of Belarus, European countries have a lot of blame for this too, who for years and years tried to get along with Russia, to trade with it, to give into it, to say, okay, then Georgia and Ukraine won't be in NATO. When Bush wanted Ukraine and Georgia in NATO, European countries said, no, 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 that's not going to happen. We gave in to them when we said there wouldn't be a base here. That was a very advantageous and very successful hybrid operation on their part. When we said there wouldn't be an American radar here, we kept giving in to them, giving in, giving in. We tried to be nice to them. We tried to trade with them, connect with them. We let them in so they could learn well here, so they could have money here, so they could have their children here. We allowed them all of this. All these concessions of ours were used as weakness to slap us in the face. We didn't even believe the United States that the war would even come. Even the Ukrainians didn't believe the war would come because the United States Secret Services were completely discredited by what they did in Iraq, right? When they said there were chemical weapons there, which in the end weren't there. And if it hadn't been for, Valery Zaluzhny, who basically started preparing mobilization against the president's will a few days before the war, Ukraine might not have been able to defend itself at all. Man, when you think about it, all that defense, all of Ukraine's success could depend on the fact that some general who knew things refused to listen to a politician, or not that he refused to listen, but that he did things without the politician's orders. That's pretty wild.
It depends on them. Russia destroyed lives in Syria and African countries, and in many cases it also caused and supported waves of migration to Europe. Russia supports the insane Iranian regime and completely ignores the killing of people. We can't pretend that it's not happening.
Never deceived itself.
The European Parliament never traded European principles for any advantage in relation to Russia. European leaders, politicians, parliaments, and millions of Europeans all follow the same principles and values. And for that, I thank you all very much.
This is not the first time Ukraine has to
Sadly, this isn't the first time Ukraine has had to defend against a Russian invasion.
We have such a large
But this is the first time that such a large coalition is supporting us.
shared achievements of
This is something we have achieved together. All of us who, on the 24th of February 2022, were not afraid. And we achieved it together.
This is about you, ladies and gentlemen. About you who didn't chicken out. About you who did chicken out and have been scared for 4 years, of course, nobody talks about. By the way, I want to thank people like Bratschicek, like Martin Rota, like all those brave people who knew from the start where they stood, who pulled me along with them, because I still remember that I was so scared that I had the tendency to tell Zelensky to shut up, because his threats that Putin would come for the others next is complete bullshit. I was overwhelmed by my own fear, and because of that, I didn't see how serious the situation was. And if Bratschicek, Martin Rota, and all the people on the internet hadn't been pushing those things into me, and if they had just left me alone, if I had stayed in some kind of bubble, then today I would be some scared, messed up loser who believes that peace can be negotiated with Russia.
Who aren't afraid even today. And today we have to be just as determined and just as strong as when the invasion began. The threat hasn't diminished. Yes, we're managing to hold Russia back. But that doesn't mean it guarantees our safety.
can we do this together in Europe?
We can only achieve that together as Europe and together with America.
This is not an easy task.
Of course, we understand that it's not easy to maintain transatlantic unity and cooperation in the current situation and in the factual context. But I thank everyone who, despite these challenges, keeps these global relationships alive.
Democracies. We must continue.
All the world's democracies must continue to defend ourselves against Russia by all available means, including sanctions and other forms of support, even to the point of sending our strikes to Russia. We have to attack and fight with everything that allows Putin to prolong this war. That means there should be no place in the free world for Russian oil, Russian tankers, Russian banks, or Russian sanctions.
Or for any
Russian ships and Russian war criminals. The time has come for us to hold accountable all those who participate in Russian aggression, to drive them out of Europe, to deny them access. We need the full range of security guarantees for Ukraine.
and to prevent
Thank you. And to prevent Russia from spreading its aggression in Europe. And so that we can always support any European country that might become one target of new Russian aggression. Now we have an important decision ahead of us. 90 billion euros in support for Ukraine over 2 years. This is a real financial guarantee of our security. It's a guarantee of our resilience, and it's a guarantee that must be used. And I thank everyone who worked on it and who continue to work on it. For us, it is important to get a clear date when we can become part of the European Union. It is absolutely essential for us. An important step in the diplomatic process.
the war. And this is not
A key part of the entire diplomatic process related to the war. It's not just our wish, it's crucial for what Putin will do next. Because if there is no date and no guarantee, he will find a way to prevent Ukraine from joining the European Union. Because he will find a way to divide you, to divide the European Union. And we have to resist that. I am grateful to every European country that cooperates with us, supports our energy sector, our air defense, and our coalition. First of all, I thank the Coalition of the Willing, which helped unite not only Europe, but also brought in Canada, the United States, and Japan.
and truly be willing to
Please, I ask you, give real substance, real weight to the work of the Coalition of the Willing, so that their efforts can lead to the end of the war. It is necessary for Russia to understand that Europe is not just some place where Russian oligarchs build their villas and palaces.
it's not a museum for the lovers of Russia.
Europe is not some museum where Russian officials can go on trips or vacations.
Russians must learn that Europe is a
Russians must understand that the European Union is an alliance of independent states and millions of people who will not tolerate humiliation or violence.
Of course.
Please continue to defend the
Please. And keep defending the European way of life. Please support Ukraine. Please support our diplomatic efforts to achieve peace. And be effective, because every result you achieve is a line that Putin cannot cross. Thank you for all these years. Thank you very much. Glory to Ukraine.
Glory.
Great thanks there.
Quite empty, quite empty.
No. Asi patrioti nechtěli poslouchat pravdu, no. Patrioti pro Evropu to lívli.
Cowards, cowardly rabble. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Volodymyr Zelensky, and let me know in the comments what you think about his speech. I didn't have much to add. I was arguing a bit here in the chat about what's more important, whether it's the abilities of a politician or whether he's from the people in terms of his education. The actual factual truth is that the most important thing is that a politician isn't an egotistical jerk and can listen to the experts around him. In any case, yeah, the war lasts 4 years, and one day, and our job is, of course, to be on the side of the attacked because it's highly pragmatic. It's not ideological at all. And Russia building an empire is definitely not a good thing for Europe. So that's that. And especially not for the Czech Republic. It's always important to remember that you are on the menu. So get off the menu. Be an animal that runs through the forest. Don't be Vladimir Putin's meal or Donald Trump's. Be alive and free.
Do Trumpa. Buďte živí a svobodní.
Glory to Czechia, glory to Ukraine. Glory to the heroes of all nations.